Morning, this is the time that was noticed and posted for our flood control district meeting. It's Tuesday, November 26, 2024, 10 o'clock a.m. We're in the Board of Supervisors hearing room, Melody Lane, Bisbee. Pursuant to ARS 38-431.028, the public will have physical access to the meeting post 15 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. Any item on this agenda is open for discussion and possible action. Begin with the roll call. District 1.
Crosby is here.
District 2, Supervisor English is present. District 3,
Supervisor Judd is here.
we have a complete board this morning. Members of the public may also attend this meeting by Microsoft Teams computer or mobile app, or by phone by calling 602-609-7513 or 888-680-6714. Conference ID 105-636-117#. If you have trouble accessing this meeting remotely, call 520-432-9200 for direction. The board may permit public comment during the discussion of any item on this agenda. To speak on an agenda item, complete and return the speaker request form to the clerk of the board prior to the start of the meeting. We begin with the call to the public. I have one person who wishes to speak on Teams. Allison Morris. Are you there, Allison Morris?
She's on, but she needs to unmute herself.
Could you unmute yourself, Allison? Allison, we cannot hear you. Can you unmute? I'll have to move on, Allison. Sorry. Okay, we begin with the consent agenda, and there's only one item.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair votes aye, and it's unanimous and approved. We move to item number 2, the memorandum of understanding. Ms. Watkins, are you? Oh, you have a stand-in.
Good
morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Ms. Watkins is not available this morning. She's attending to her husband' health issues. So as you will recall, in fall of 2023, there was a 2-day series of workshops, exploratory scenario planning workshops that were held in Elfrida that 2 of our supervisors here did participate in, as well as county staff and many other representatives from the Sulphur Springs Valley who were there because of their concerns around water issues and water supply. And as a result of those workshops, a group came together. That particular scenario planning workshop provided a lot of incentives for people to come together from varied interests around the valley to address their water concerns. And so since about January of this year, this group has been meeting. The Sulphur Springs Water Alliance has been meeting on a regular basis. It has a chair. It has a vice chair. They have committees. They've been applying for grants. They also have an executive director that they've hired. So they've done a lot of work in the last 11 months coming together as an organization. And this particular agreement, our memorandum of understanding that's before you right now, formalizes this partnership between all these varied interests in the valley. So with the signing of this puts the county, along with these other partners, in a very strategic position to address the current active management area that's designated for the Douglas Basin and the proposed active management area by ADWR for the Wilcox Basin. And they've already been able to come together with a unified voice on their concerns and their issues and their things that they would like to see an AMA address in the Wilcox Basin. So with the signing of this, I think it puts the county in a good position to be a partner with all of these different interests in the valley.
I only have one comment about this, and I noticed that in the information that you gave us that they're going to have a website and they're going to put on there the people who are participating. And I think since the county is one of the participants, we need to make sure that that is updated so that the public is aware of the diversity. or non-diversity that happens to be represented on that group if we're going to be part of it.
You
So
bet. That website is up and running. And I believe there's also a link to the movie that was made by the University of Arizona, I think it was, the Babbitt Center put together a really good documentary about the scenario planning process and this resulting group coming out of that process.
well, my question was based on the fact of who the members are, who the group is. And it said that they would be noticing that, and let's make sure that that's possible so people know who's on the group and the decisions that they're making if we're a part of it.
You bet. And another mechanism behind this MOU is that it doesn't have to come back before this board every time a new member joins.
Right.
It's been structured in a way that'll allow, through a consensus of the group, to allow other partners to join in the group.
But then they'll be on the website. So
Yeah, I'll make sure they understand that.
Yes, any other board members have any questions or comments?
Certainly. Could you tell us how this MOU will serve to protect groundwater from state and federal encroachment?
I don't think that was the intent of this MOU. I don't think encroachment, federal or state encroachment, I think it's more of a collaboration to come together as a unified voice so that they can make their concerns known to the state. Right now, they just put out a letter as a preview to the impending or the proposed active management area by ADWR. They came together with a consensus letter on what their issues are that should be addressed by the AMA. So this provides them a unified voice into standing up on particular issues related to the AMA.
Okay, so when you just said they, who are you talking about? The members of this committee?
Yes.
I see. How will you adopt or include new partners and address encroachment of our groundwater from state and federal encroachment? Did I say that right? In other words, if you get a bunch of new partners and they're saying, hey, we're coming in, I'm a new partner, I got a bunch of money either from the state or the federal government, let me come into your group, and eventually, to me, there's a threat of losing local control. So I want local control, because what I foresee is augmentation, which means pumping our water away to Phoenix or Tucson.
Yeah. I don't think that's in the realm of practical ideas that this group would come up with. And there, as I mentioned earlier, there is this mechanism that if there's a new partner that comes into the valley that would, or somebody that lives there but isn't yet a part of this organization, would present themselves to the group as a whole. And there's a procedure for approving that partner or not approving of that partner to join the MOU.
Mm.
So those kinds of discussions would be had by the group itself.
Okay, I understand that. My observation from the 2010 Water District attempt was you had an outside player coming in to somebody, a person from outside the county coming into the county, and they wanted to redo the Water District election. So that's why I'm suspicious of all this stuff having to do with water, as you may have noticed in previous conversations.
Well, this particular group is definitely local based. I mean, it is local farmers, local municipal interests, local industrial uses, local and commercial uses, local residents. And that's, you know, the gist behind this is to have a fair representation from all stakeholders within that valley, not from outside entities.
Okay, then I'm all for what you're saying, I think, but I do want to know how you're gonna protect that local control.
Well, that will be up to the group by consensus.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we are just one voice in that group.
Would you tell us anything about your views on augmentation?
I believe that's stretching it a little bit on this. What we're asking now is to look at the memorandum of understanding.
Okay.
Judd, do you have any comments on
Yeah.
the memorandum?
So having sat through many talks and having a sister who gave a particularly moving talk in the meeting on Friday with the AMA, there's a lot of people that are against it because it doesn't allow for recharge. It doesn't allow, well, this is what it looks like. It doesn't allow for recharge. It doesn't allow for a fund being collected from the water users that can support the people who are struggling with a home falling into a fissure, which I hadn't heard of yet till Friday, or or being split apart by a fissure. Maybe someone needing a new well. It doesn't necessarily support the rural water delivery system that they've been working on for a long time. And I haven't been to any of their meetings, so I don't know that they don't necessarily, that this organization doesn't support those type things. But if this organization is supporting that, do you think there's a chance that they can convince the AMA to operate under those type of challenges? Because so far the AMAs haven't looked at those kind of things.
Well, the AMAs do look at recharge. I mean, recharge is a big part of the active management area plans that have been developed all over the state.
CAP, they have recharge, but they also have that outside source of water, which we don't have an outside source of water. So our recharge is entirely different than
I
theirs.
think what we're looking at here is, do we want to be a member, an active member of this group that they're establishing as the Sulphur Springs Water Alliance? I don't think we can make any assumptions of decisions they're going to make in the future.
Right.
I think that what we're asking today, or they're asking us, is, do we want to be a member of that? And it needs a yes from us in order to be a member, in order to have a voice in that group.
And I was just saying, I only want to be a member if they have a real chance of making a difference through the AMA.
I think they do. Having a unified voice between a huge variety of stakeholders in that valley, it was a coup. I mean, I think a real asset to all of the water interests in the valley when they came together after these exploratory scenario planning workshops. And they, the fact that they could come together, and they don't all agree on everything, but what they do agree on is that whatever policy decision or position that they take comes by consensus. The group has to pretty much consent to whatever it is they're going to, make a statement about, like the AMA being proposed in the Wilcox Basin. They spent a week going over this letter that they wanted to present to ADWR on their position and things that they think should be addressed by the AMA.
And
So
I
they're
apologize.
They're already ahead of the game in that regard.
I apologize, but if it was included in the packet, I didn't look, and I don't know about this letter. So I was just there, and people are very upset that they voted against something that now the government's coming in and doing anyway. I don't know how to process this. I'm going to vote for it today, and then because I'm going to have some free time next year, I would like to be involved. At least it's a public meeting, I guess.
Yeah.
That they hold.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, I'll work on coming and being there and kind of overseeing it. But I don't today really want to vote to kind of give my support to that letter, because I'm not sure the people in my district support that letter. Maybe few of them. I know of the ones particularly who do. I could list a few, but I am.
Do you want to be a
afraid.
part of that?
I
Do you
do.
want the county to be a part of that group?
I do, and I'm going to vote for that.
Today.
I know, and I will vote for that. My concern is that I just needed to say it, that I'm afraid for the county to put a rubber stamp on. Yeah, let's put an AMA in
No.
when we voted against it.
If I could address 2 points. One, that letter was not an approval of the AMA.
Oh, okay.
That letter outlined the concerns and issues and things they would like to see if it is designated as an AMA.
Okay. I guess I didn't understand.
It's not a letter.
Not a rubber stamp.
They understand that the idea, it's not a rubber stamp or a vote as to whether or not the AMA should go in. That AMA decision is going to be made by ADWR, not. And
My emotions run very high in this issue.
I understand there was a lot of emotions from last Friday's meeting. But in addition, this group is also committed to educating people. There was a lot of misinformation about AMAs and other water issues and other things about the water issues in that area, that this group is committed to helping to allay some of that misinformation that's out there.
Since we don't really know who's on it, are there wineries represented?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think that's about all I need to know.
Do I have a
Thank
motion?
you.
I would still like to discuss a little bit. And I did use the word augmentation, which is not in this, but the term increased supplies falls into that category. And so so is the term, this is on page 1, goals, sentence 1, water budget imbalances. Could you tell me about water budget imbalances? What does that mean?
That means that there is more water being withdrawn from the basins, both basins, than is actually being recharged naturally or being augmented by, human intervention.
And how?
So it's a deficit. There is a huge deficit.
Right. Would you tell me one or two ideas on how to cure that imbalance?
Recharge is being talked about a lot, large recharge projects. In fact, here at the county, we receive funding from the Department of Emergency and Military Affairs that is going to initiate a watershed study for the Wilcox Basin on flood control and recharge opportunities in that area.
Okay.
And so we're looking for recharge opportunities there. Augmentation sounds like you're talking about maybe importing water from somewhere else to help alleviate that imbalance.
Well, what I want to do is prevent exportation of our water someplace else, and I believe that that's going to happen. And I certainly believe that that was the intention in 2010. Nonetheless,
Not likely.
I've probably said something like this before. I don't think the aquifer is going to get recharged until the next ice age. So that concludes my remarks, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Do we have a-
I'll make a motion. Madam Chair, I move that we approve memorandum of understanding supporting the establishment of the Sulphur Springs Water Alliance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Appel, for your conscientious presentation.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
You have 1 against, 2 for, so it passes. Next meeting is right now for our regular board meeting, and this meeting is adjourned.